Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and this is the Patron Hangout number 204. All right. Welcome, everybody who is here in the chat room. And if you'd like to be in the chat room, please do click the link below and join Patreon. If you don't want to do that, it's fine. Please subscribe to the channel. But if you do join Patreon, you can be at the live shows, which are 2 a week. And we have a wonderful community. And it helps this educational channel. Anyway, let me say hello. Whoever just rolled in here. All right. And yes, for all cauliflower is here now. And if you are in Europe, yes, I put the wrong time. I put 9 p.m. It's 8 p.m. So I just sent you all a link. So show up. Anyway, a little toasty here in Washington, or Maryland is exactly where I live. And it's sweltering. And of course, my house is a little overheated. So I'm overheated. And by the way, if you say, Pat, you've been overheated for the last few days, you are correct, because I have done more videos in the last few days because I was annoyed by things that came out, and I wanted to correct things that came out. So I did a few videos, and yeah, and those videos were, just so you know what they were, because I'll go into some more issues on them. I did this one last night about that horrible Channel 4, quote, documentary on the Bonnie Blue story. Like, we needed to know the story about Bonnie Blue and her creepiness. We did not. I also did a thing on Brian Koberger and my concern about the excessive amount of interest in horrible details about the murders that people don't need to know. And I want to talk more about his motive and victim impact statements. And then I also did one on Amy Bradley and how GPT said she was sex trafficked, and Grok said she probably wasn't. And then Grok and I had a nice conversation, and Grok said, okay, I'm going to defer to you as a criminal profiler. So I'm going to add in, which I thought was kind of cool. I'm like, let's see if Grok spreads that to other people, So I did those 3, and I don't usually do that many in a week, but I was highly annoyed by a lot of things I saw coming out. So anyway, let me go to, just before I start, of course, everybody wants to know about the cat, my feral cat. Let's see, what's he doing these days? This is Mac the cat, hiding behind my laundry basket, and there he is, just sitting there. He's moving in slowly, but he 3 days ago he came in and he was limping, and he ate his food, and then he just laid down for like an hour in my bedroom, which was unusual. And then the next day he came in, and this is him stepping onto my lap, and you can't really see it, but if you look close on his little paw, you'll see blood on his paw. So I guess he was in a fight with something. I'm not sure what, but since I can't touch him, it's, I can't do anything about it. It's not like I have any, I can't tend to him like I would if it were my real cat, real cat being a cat that lives in my house and is a house cat and actually likes me. I could then put some Neosporin on the little wound or whatever. But he's a feral cat, and he will sit in my lap and eat, but he will not let me touch him. So, and then yesterday he didn't show up at all. So that's when I always go, oh, I hope he's okay. He has been missing occasionally, one night here, one night there. Guess he's just busy. And then a day later, he'll just walk back in again. So I'm assuming he's not dead. But, I only get to see him usually for about maybe 15 minutes a night. So the rest of the day and night, he's someplace else in the vicinity on the farm out here, and all the barns. He's probably catching his mice and whatever. But so I hope he's okay. We'll see if he comes back. So, that's an interesting point. If he were captured and released, that can happen. Because I don't control him, and people say, why don't I capture him? Well, if I capture him and take him to the vet and get his little, get him fixed and get his little ear clipped, I have 2 choices. I have to bring him back in a cage and then close him into my house and make him a 100% house cat. And I've never liked having house cats. I want them to have a cat door where they can come and go. All my life I've had that. I find them healthier. They live long, long, long time. They don't get diabetes. and I don't have to deal with a litter box. So I think it's a win-win situation. So I don't want a house cat, especially if, no, I don't want that. And if I do that to him and then let him release him, he's never going to trust me again. So he'll never come back. So but somebody else could capture him and do that. And one day if he shows up with a clipped ear, I'll know somebody else did it to him. Or somebody could just, do him in, or some animal could do him in, he's out there. So, but he's living his life. So he is probably making babies around the hood. And actually one day when I was driving in our drive, which is a gravel drive coming off the street, I saw a cat that looked like him laying in the drive, and I stopped and picked it up, and it had just been hit by somebody, and it was a small cat, looked a lot like him. So could have been a child of his. Don't know. So yeah, a lot of baby Max. I know a lot of people will say, you have to do the right thing and take them in. I'm a little more lenient on that. But anyway, so that's Mac the cat. We'll see if he shows up tonight. And now I want to ask you, who is my daughter with? Who can tell me who my daughter is with? I love this picture. I think it's a cool picture. Who is my daughter with? Let's see if you got it. Yep, Kevin Bacon. You are correct. Kevin Bacon. That is correct. I think it's a cool picture. So yeah, she went to a concert with the brothers, the Bacon brothers do a concert. They were in Maryland, and she had somebody she knew who knew him, and somehow she got backstage or whatever and got that cool picture of him. So I think that's a really neat picture. So yeah, it's like, and she looks really good at it. I mean, my daughter's like, wow. It's like, wow, that's like, that's an awesome picture. It's like, I gotta look at it again. She's so cute, my daughter. Anyway, and he's pretty cute too. And her husband's home going, he's very good about not being overly jealous and all that stuff. So yeah. Thank you. I think thank you. I think she's pretty too. They're both hotties. Yeah. And so that's my painting of her. But and she's she's looking good especially for her age. If she ever watches this video, she'd be mad at me. But she is 42. So but she's doing good. Yeah, I am a proud mama. What I think is really kind of cool is that, it's pretty funny. So because when people see my daughter and it's like, yeah, at the time, now she's a detective. She's a detective in Prince George's County. And when she's a homicide detective, she's now moved off to homicide. She's now in domestic, but she's been in child abuse and she's been in sex crime. She's been in homicide. Now she's done 20 years in Prince George's County. So she's now doing domestic because it gives her a lot more time with her family. But, people look at her and they do not think she's a police detective. It's like, don't mess up around her. Don't mess up around her. So anyway, will he become a patron? No, I don't think Kevin Bacon has any interest in me whatsoever. So anyway, that's just my little fun stuff. Okay, now let's go to a couple more comments I want to say on the Bonnie Blue incident. Bonnie Blue here. Now, what came out was this. Okay, where did I put it? Shoot. Hold on a second. Okay, now I'm not going to be able to find it. Oh, here it is. All right. Channel 4 issues a statement defending Bonnie Blue documentary showing graphic scenes. And you will know, if you watch I'll link below the different videos. If you watch my Bonnie Blue video, I use the word garbage over and over and over and over again. And I don't have a problem continuing to say that over and over and over again. Because in my opinion, it's one thing. Understand there are people who end up in prostitution, and it's now called sex trafficking, but it is, generally speaking, prostitution of many kinds. Not everybody's been kidnapped. People go into prostitution willingly. They go into prostitution because they need money, drugs, whatever. And sometimes it doesn't end well because somebody who's Sometimes they do end up with pimps. Sometimes they don't. All depends on the situation. But it does nothing good for society. It doesn't do anything, generally speaking, doesn't do good for the people who go into prostitution because their lives are a mess. They're homeless teenagers. They end up in prostitution. It's horrible. They get into drugs and they can't support the drug habit without prostitution, so they do that. They're runaways. There's a lot of reasons people end up in prostitution who, if only somebody had helped them, and maybe their home life was better, they wouldn't end up in that horrible situation. I don't call them garbage. Want to point that out. I don't, because if they have, in many nations, certain countries where the poverty is extreme and the law enforcement is a little weak, you'll get people who literally are abducted, or the parents will sell them because they have too many kids and they can't afford to feed any of them, so they let one go into a brothel someplace. Those people are not garbage. Those people are they're victims, 100% victims. And when I'm talking about garbage, I'm talking about, if you go on OnlyFans and you're promoting porn, if you're a porn star, not because you've been kidnapped in some foreign country and forced into it, but because you in the US and you just get involved in the porn industry and you think it's cool and you don't have a problem with your face being seen, not your family has to live with that, your friends have to live with that. Oh my God, the humiliation they have to deal with, and you don't care about, and you don't care what you're doing to the young people of this country or any country, because young people, children are starting to access porn all over the place, and you don't care what you're doing to their brains. You're a piece of garbage. And if you are a promoter of that, you're a piece of garbage. So anyway, to the Channel 4 statement defending this garbage. Hold on a second. All right. Channel 4 has released. So the film is set to sensitively delve behind the headlines, and the clickbait, and the rage bait to discover what life is really like in Bonnie's wild orbit. We don't need to know. We don't really care. You sick son of... What's really going on behind her steely blue eyes, which are probably the eyes of a person that the personality disorder starts with a P. Anyway, however, hold on a second. I just popped up. All right. However, the doc hasn't been without backlash, which it should, over platforming the controversial adult star as well as a number of graphic scenes it features. All right. So now, this is what they say. They said, get this, Channel 4 added it was necessary to show Bonnie having sex multiple times in the documentary. It was necessary. Quote, careful consideration has been given to the content and the way in which it was included. The explicit content in the documentary is editorially justified and provides essential context. Making pornographic content is Bonnie's job, and this film is about her work and the response to it. Channel 4 garbage, director garbage, and you're a real piece of garbage. Okay, so commissioning editor, Tim Hancock, a piece of garbage, said before a screening of the doc, I believe it is Channel 4's job to tell stories like this, trying to get behind the truth of the headlines. We film real stories in real time, and we're very proud to do films like this because you're a piece of garbage. Channel 4 doesn't need to do this. Nobody needed this documentary. Nobody. I could come up with a list, and you could come up with a list of fascinating people in the world, fascinating events in the world, fascinating achievements in the world. You could do a documentary about them, Channel 4. You aren't going to do a documentary about every great thing in the world, are you? Because that won't make you as much money as doing this piece of garbage. So you are a lying piece of garbage. Anyway, and Victoria Silver, the director, piece of garbage. Bonnie Blue refuses to conform to public opinion and live life by her own rules. Because she's a personality disorder starts with a P, probably. Okay, I can't even go on because I want to punch all of them in the face. I do. But that's why I did my video on this. Yeah, you think so, tetrafilm? Sounds like a bit of illegal porn on mainstream TV. And this is one of the problems we are seeing. The same thing we see with the movies. We don't need the graphic sex scenes in movies. And as a matter of fact, what's the show? I'm trying to remember now. And Just Like That, is that the name of it? It's the third season. It's from Sex and the City, whatever the heck the name of it is. I watched it, and one of the scenes in there has what's her face? I'm going to blank on all the names. The main character and her boyfriend. Holy crap almighty! Do you hear that? I don't know if you hear that. That was thunder that just went off over here. So we're gonna have a huge thunderstorm. So you're gonna hear some loud noise in the background, and hopefully the internet won't go down. Tell me who's in it. I'm blanking on the main character in Sex and the City. But anyway, her boyfriend's in a car, and she's at home, and he wants to jack off to phone porn with her. And both of them, these two, actor and actress, agree to do this. These are people who are famous, who do not need to lower their... Hello? Hold on, now we got... Hello? Come in. I don't know who's here. Come in. Excuse me a second.
Can you give this to Annabelle? Oh, she left it.
Oh, sure. Oh,
thank you.
Well,
I knocked it.
Oh, I don't know if anybody's home. Oh, but get home before the big huge storm.
See you.
I'll get it to her. Thank you. Hello. This is my granddaughter's purse. Apparently, it was left at her friend's house, and the grandmother just brought it. Anyway. Oh my God. Anyway, so who am I trying to catch? Sarah, what's her face? Somebody's got to know the show. Come on now. The next round of Sex and the City. But anyway, they do this pornographic scene where they're masturbating. And I'm like, you are famous people. You don't need to do this. It's disgusting that you did this. And they said they were uncomfortable. She said she was uncomfortable doing it. I'm like, Parker, what's her name? Blanking on her name. Why do you do this? Why don't you say, no, this is disgusting. It's garbage. I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And this is the regular TV. It's a TV series. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. That's correct. Sarah Jessica Parker. And I thought it was a cringe scene. I'm like sitting there going, ew. It was gross. It was gross. It made me hate both the characters and made me dislike both the actor and actress. So stop doing that. And then you have other films which you could have they have to have a sex scene for no reason other than to have a sex scene. You know, there's ways to show people becoming romantic, you know, and you could have them kiss and then fall into bed and have a cover thrown over them or whatever. You don't have to show sex. As a matter of fact, in Bollywood movies for years and years, it was always quite funny because they didn't even kiss in the movies. So when the guy would move in to kiss, the woman would always turn her head and he'd kiss her on the cheek and then he'd kiss her on the shoulder. And it was super, super sensual and romantic. And then sometimes they showed them rolling down a hill. that was we're having sex and rolling down a hill. That was on some of the old movies like that. Pretty funny. But the fact that we keep thinking we have to put more and more and more sex into movies, more and more violent sex, more and more pornographic sex, not making love, but all this stuff. We are really, again, society is going down the garbage chute, you know. She's comfortable to get the money. She doesn't need the freaking money. And somebody asked me about this. They're like, how did I get into this business? Was I interested in, so the question a lot of people have is, do you do things for money? Do you do YouTube for money? TV for money? Write books for money? Well, you know, people do like to eat. Doctors get paid. Teachers get paid. Yes, people go on television, YouTube, write books. They want to get paid for their work because they also first of all, they put effort out and they want to eat. Now, there is a difference between that and doing things that you do not need to do for the money. So in my opinion, there's a lot of YouTubers out here making a fortune doing what I call murdertainment. It's just all about talking about the brutal details of crimes. They're not offering anything except entertainment. I think that's not ethical, but they're making a lot of money, so they do it. And if you already have enough money, you don't need. You're not like desperate. You're like, oh my God, I can't feed the kids. I better do a masturbation scene. If you don't need it, don't do it. I don't know. Frustrating. Now, here's something else that's interesting. The fallout. I got this message in. I want to show you the message I got in after putting that show up. This message now came from a channel which I just reported, by the way. Okay, where is it? Oh, this channel. All right, Bonnie Blue. Now, this has a lot of Bonnie Blue clips on it, which are sexual in nature, which is not allowed on YouTube, which I reported it for. But she's only got like 34 followers, so it's like really weird. It's like this probably isn't Bonnie Blue, but it's stealing Bonnie Blue stuff. But there's phone numbers and things. So I'm thinking somebody's just pretending they're her so they can get some other porn person is trying to get money. But this person wrote this stuff. So we had this very short conversation. Thought you might enjoy it. That video made me a millionaire. I don't know what video she's talking about. But anyway, I wrote, you don't have many followers on YouTube, so I don't know if it's really you. But if it is you or a fan, you are still a piece of garbage. Being rich doesn't make you a better person. There are a lot of rich people who are garbage. Nothing to be proud of unless you are a psychopath. And then she wrote back, profiling of Pat Brown, you should focus on yourself. Now, the funny thing is, I have heard this over and over again from other YouTubers who there's YouTube people I support, there's media that I support, and there's some that I have issues with. And I will speak up on occasion on those. And they're like, just focus on yourself. Why are you paying any attention to anybody else? Because sometimes when you see wrong in the world, you should speak up. It's not always, you don't always get a good response, but in my opinion, you should speak up. So you should focus on yourself. So I wrote back, I am doing just fine because I'm not a piece of garbage, but I am happy to warn the public about garbage. As a criminal profiler, I'm quite clear about what people like you are and what damage you do to society. So I'm sure it's probably not Bonnie Blue, but a Bonnie Blue pretender. But, this is the kind of stuff I get. Seriously. Yeah. It's pretty funny. I actually have responded just because I thought it was amusing, but I tell you. So, well said. Good for you. Well said. Anyway, so that's the end of the Bonnie Blue stuff for now. I want to go to. Oh, all right. I'm trying to figure out which one I want to go together. Let me look at my list. I got a huge list. I'm not going to get to all of it today. That's damn sure. Let me go to the thing on Amy Bradley that I did. The issue about whether she was sex trafficked and whatever. And people, the one comment I get over and over again, what about the picture of Jazz? What about the picture? What about the picture? What about the people who saw her? Blah, blah, blah. And I keep telling people, there are a lot of people who look similar. And if you only see them for a few seconds and you already thinking, oh, there's an Amy Bradley out there, you might easily think that's Amy Bradley. I always remember this one time my sister said to me, were you in, I forgot where it was, like Boston recently? I'm like, no, why? She goes, because I saw this picture of you on Facebook. She sent it to me. And I looked at it and I did not know if it wasn't me, but I didn't know those people and I wasn't there. So it was definitely not me, but my God, a doppelganger, So anyway, here we have some proof of these identical strangers. These are two women who are not related. My God Almighty. Here's another couple who are not related. They look like twins. Here's another couple who are not related, look like twins. And those are people, of course, that are so amazingly, absolutely the same. It's like, wow. But you don't need to even be that close, because a lot of times what will happen is, there's just a lot of people who look similar enough. And especially if they have makeup on or a certain lighting, people go, it could be them. And it's not them. Now, one of the things that's also come out recently, and this is from this site that keeps putting up tons of crap. Anyway, some of it's okay, some of it's garbage. The huge reason the FBI might reopen the Amy Bradley case 27 years on. Now, they say that's just a clickbait title. However, there's a point in it. So there's a guy there. I'm trying to see if I can find it. Okay. There was a person there talking. This is one of the cases where the guy they've interviewed. I've been in these interviews where your interview goes well, but they slightly misrepresent you, and it's really annoying in the long run. Because that's probably not exactly what he meant. Anyway, this guy said, his name was George Levitt, legal expert George Levitt, has said there is a huge possibility the case may be reopened. I don't know that he said huge possibility. He probably said possibility, and they added huge in. We don't have proof that was straight out of his mouth. He told the Mirror US the Netflix series, quote, could result in reopening the investigations. True. The series is likely to lead, now this is not quoted, the series is likely to lead to new witnesses coming forward, and yeah, the series will lead to about 500 new people coming forward, if not 5,000, saying they saw Amy Bradley. That's for sure true. And then, quote, several possible legal developments. All right. Levitt said, quote, and by the way, I always hope the quotes actually are quotes, because I've been quoted with quotes and it hasn't been my full quote. So, or has been bastardized. So I take everything unless I hear the person doing live TV, and that's the only way I'll do things for the most part now. I will do, this show is live. What comes out of my mouth comes out of my mouth. Now, mind you, somebody could take this show these days and AI it, and it'll be over on some other channel, and I will be saying a bunch of garble and a bunch of nonsense. And they'll say, see, Pat Brown said that. It'll be total libel. So if you really want the truth, you got to go to a place where you can trust who is putting the information out, like my channel, and hear what I am saying straight from the mouth. The horse, and so that's why I'm very reluctant to ever do anything unless I absolutely know that the journalist is one of the few journalists in the world I trust, or that the documentary isn't going to stab me in the back. So he says, quote, supposedly, publicity may prompt new witnesses. Well, it absolutely will. Or individuals with relevant information, probably not, to come forward, which could, the word could, potentially reopen the case. Could. Law enforcement may be compelled to reevaluate the case file, especially if the public or political pressure mounts. Now, that is a correct, he's right about that. So the problem we have in many cases is the police department sometimes responds to massive pressure. For example, if racism can be brought in the sense, or not necessarily racism, but saying that the police department didn't do their job because the person was of a certain race, so they didn't get the attention that somebody else got, who might be, let's say, a black person compared to a white person. There can be truth in that. But sometimes I've had white families come and say, how do I get publicity? I'm like, good luck. But if black family comes, I'm like, you got the NAACP, you got Black Power movement, whatever, Black Lives Matter. You can push this stuff because that grabs the attention of the media and Facebook and everybody who wants to be on the side of, we care about everyone, theoretically, So, yeah, so then the police department starts getting this barrage of stuff all over the internet, on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok. And then if you get the media, like Netflix, to put out a documentary, now you're sitting there going, crap. We're pretty much 99% sure that girl went over the side of the ship, but now they're going to harass the crap out of us because we can't prove she went over the side of the ship. And all these people say she was kidnapped and to sex trafficking. Now we're going to look like bums if we don't pretend that we're going to do some more investigation. So are they going to do more investigation? Probably not. But could they pretend they're going to do it? Yes, it's a possibility, because now they're being harassed. So that's how that sort of works. Yeah, and it's frustrating to me because, again, we're having people influence investigations not based on whether they should be influenced, but because of the hype put around. Yeah, that's what we're talking about, the doppelganger thing. Yeah, with 8 billion people, there's going to be somebody out there who looks pretty much like you. That is for sure true. And that's why you have to be a little careful about lip service to the public. Yeah, and I mean, sometimes, Clarissa, this is a problem in that, I mean, families will say, ask the police if they're working on their case, and the police will say, yes, we are, when they're not really. It's just filed, it's in a shelf, because they don't have any place to go. They're just hoping one day they get a great tip. This is when you have a legitimate, missing person, legitimate murder case. Sometimes they just don't have evidence, and they're like, there's not much more we can investigate. Like to investigate more, but we've got nothing, or we've got so little. What more can we do? And the family thinks you should be just running around the neighborhood, like interviewing everybody and their brother to forward the case. But you can't do that, because you have to have a thing called manpower, and you have to have financial resources. And when you have a case that's, quite frankly, you don't have the evidence to do much with, and then you have a new case that comes in, you do have evidence, you're going to put your efforts there, and the other one's going to sit. And you always hope that at some point some DNA will roll through, and you can take that DNA and, oh, lo and behold, we solved the case. We've been working hard on you. That's kind of the way it works. So, yeah, you can't force what's not there. You can't. It's just, that's the way life goes. Speaking of people who try to force things that aren't there, if you remember, I did a thing on a thing on a guy named Terron Evans, because now I'm trying to remember everything I did here on this case. Hold on one second. So let's see what it is here. Ooh. Okay, where's my thing here? Okay, where'd you go, Terron? So, well, shoot. So, hold on a second. Things are, I clicked on the wrong thing. Terron Evans was this young man who died up in Potsdam, New York, and his mother thinks he was murdered by the police because she was part of Black Lives Matter, and she's got this huge agenda on a tremendous amount of young Black men being killed by the police and being framed by the police for murders they didn't commit. So either being killed by the police or being framed by the police. And so I did the, I'm just sitting here blanking. That's why I got to look at my phone, because I just blanked here. The names sometimes go out of my head because I have so many names in my head. So where is it here? So I got to pull up my own show so I can just get the name off of here. Pat. Okay, hold on a second. Terron. Okay. So here it is. So here I did the death of Terron Evans, and this was, oh, here we go, Nick Hillary. That's the name I was looking for. Anyway, I did a video on the Nick Hillary case, who was a Jamaican guy who was accused of murdering a young boy in Potsdam, New York. He was prosecuted. He went to trial, and he was found not guilty. I disagree with that. I think he was guilty. That's why I think the evidence supported. Well, anyway, the mother of Terron Evans was up there with, she's marching around saying the police, railroaded him, which I do not think they did. But then her son came up there to stay with her, and he died of a drug overdose. Suicide or not suicide, you can argue that fact. But she believes he was murdered by the police. In other words, the police had an informant who then murdered him because she was protesting. She's running a protest in Potsdam, New York on the Nick Hillary case. So the police are going to kill her son to what? Stop her from protesting? Makes zero sense. Anyway, she contacted me, asked me to look into her son's case, and apparently never bothered to watch my Nick Hillary video. She knew I had done one, but she never bothered to look at it. So I think I thought Nick Hillary was innocent, because that's where people go with that story, because that makes you popular and you get a lot of clicks because, oh yeah, poor Nick Hillary. And she didn't watch it. So I read, she sent me all the information on her son. I read all of it, the autopsy reports and all that. And I said, I'm sorry, but I think your son was not murdered. The evidence of the autopsy shows that he died of a drug overdose. And she never responded. I sent it. I was very kind to her, and I said, I understand, I never went into any of the politics. I just said, I know you're suffering from this, blah, blah, blah. And I sent her, I said, I don't know if you got this. She never responded. In which case, finally, I did the video on it, because what I see her doing is taking her son's death and blaming the police for her son's death. And I'm tired of people. If you know you got a bad cop out there, you got conspiracy. Okay, go for the true facts. But if you're going to accuse every time you're unhappy with the results of what happened with your child or with whatever's going on, you're going to blame the police and call it, like Karen Reed say, is a massive conspiracy, which there wasn't. And you just people, having law enforcement in my family, having my daughter be accused of kinds of things like that makes me sick, or her fellow officers. Now, if there's a bad apple, fine, go after them. But just to trash the police department in entirety because you don't like what happened is sad and sickening. And so I spoke up. So anyway, I did the video, and then she came back on her Facebook page and she wrote this. This is Terron Evans Jr. Justice. She keeps going, murder is not suicide. Well, no, but suicide is suicide. Yeah. I contacted her hoping she would see the truth of the murders and cover up of my son, Terron Evans Jr. and Garrett Phillips in Potsdam, New York. Finally, she was with the police in the racism and the framing of Nick Hillary. What? First of all, I wasn't in Potsdam. I don't know the police in Potsdam. I wasn't framing Nick Hillary. It's just I analyzed the evidence and did a video on it. I didn't frame him. I just believe the evidence supports that he probably did it. I was fighting for Nick Hillary's justice prior to my son, Terron Evans Jr.'s death. She was with the police in the murder and cover-up of my son, Terron. I'm with the police in the cover-up? Again, I don't know any of these police. I've never been in Potsdam, New York. But what she did, she never responded to me because she didn't like the answer. And so she's accusing me of being part of a cover-up now. And then these are the kind of comments I get. You fool. Nick could not have done it. He had a rock-solid alibi. The DNA evidence was bullshit. That's why it wasn't admitted. You are a fool. Your implicit bias is livid. Holy shit. You are as grossly incompetent as a Mississippi burning law enforcement up here. You don't know a lot, but you sure do appoint yourself as an expert anyway. That's the kind of stuff I get, just so you know. And of course, I get the constant accusation when it happens to be a black victim or a black perpetrator or suspected. On either side, could be suspected, and I point out that I do have children who are not white. And the only reason I point this out is so that people understand that I'm not coming from some background that has never been around anybody who of another color, that I'm like some kind of weird racist person coming out. Even people who have no black people in their family, no people of any color in their family, they can be totally non-racist. I mean, just because you're white doesn't mean you're racist, okay? But I often point this out because I'm like, look, I was married to a Jamaican guy. So Nick Hillary was Jamaican. And I use that to help people understand. I understand where his behaviors and his culture and the way of speaking, because I've been around Jamaicans for decades. So I want you to understand where I'm coming from. So my opinion weighs a little bit more as far as being rational. And so I'm not off on some other thing where I don't understand the culture. There's cultures I haven't got a clue about. Not a clue. And I can't speak well on them because I don't know. So let's say let's say there's a murder in Albania. I've never been there. Don't know any Albanians. I don't know what the culture is. I don't know if they're acting normal, not acting normal. But I have been around the U.S. and for the last 30 years, or not 30 years, 70 years, raised kids in this society who were not white, was married to a Jamaican for 25 years. Who became a citizen. He's a citizen, but he came when he was 14. And so there's things I understand. I spent a lot of time in India, so I can talk a little bit about the Indian culture because I spend time there. But if I haven't, so that's the only reason I bring that stuff up, is just so that people can understand where I'm coming from. But I get this saying, well, just because that means you just don't know anything, you're still a racist. So it's really sad, because the people being accused of things like the Potsdam Police Department, you might not like a detective or somebody there, because some people are assholes, I mean, there's an old joke where, a police officer is driving and he's pulled over by another police officer. He goes, what does that asshole want? Because there's always assholes in every profession. There's assholes. And so just because people are assholes doesn't mean that the entire department is assholish and they're all corrupt. So in the Karen Reed case, we saw a guy who was, quite frankly, an asshole. Said some things publicly or honest text he shouldn't have said. It wasn't necessarily wrong, but he shouldn't have said them. But that didn't mean the whole police department was going to get behind this guy and frame Karen Reed. But most of them didn't even know. Why would the heck would they do that? So it's a lot. Yeah, this is true. You have to agree or you're the enemy. And this is a really sad thing. So it's very frustrating. Sorry about that. Actually, this is my fault. I usually do this at 3:00, but I was trying to go play table tennis at 5 at a coach. I was going to try to do a 5:00 coaching lesson with, and so I put this at 2, and then he said he couldn't do it at 5. So sorry about that. And then I screwed up when I typed it. I apologize. That's my fault. Anyway, so that's that. I want to talk about, what was that? I'm trying to see my little, I want to talk about since we're talking about people who go missing off of cruise ships and stuff. There are some cases where, and so I want to mention this particular case because I do think it's, and I'm going to put the link to Dr. Grande's little video on it, because I'm not going to do a whole video on it because I think Dr. Grande was right on the money. So you can just go and watch him. But I want to point out something about it. Let me find it. Where'd it go? Shoot, hold on a second. Here it is. It's Max DeVries. Somebody had asked me about Max DeVries. Max DeVries was this young man who was in Aruba, like Natalie Holloway. And Max DeVries, where are you, Max? We have a picture of Max somewhere here. Max, where are you? Oh, here he is. Okay. So Max goes down to Aruba with his mother and sister. And this is what he looks like. So that's Max. And he goes jet skiing with this father-son couple. I'm not going to get into it to any degree. Just go watch Dr. Grande's. And so the son, who's in his 20s, they make friends. His mother and the 2 kids make friends, and they do some stuff together. And then the next day, the younger man in his 20s, late 20s, says, "Hey, you want to go do some jet skiing?" And takes the 14-year-old, I think 14. Is that how old he was? 14, with him. And they come back. And then the next day, the father of this younger man, who's now in his 50s, says, "Hey, you want to go jet skiing again?" And Max says, "Sure." And the mother lets him. Now, a lot of people say, why would the mother let her teenage boy go off with a bunch of people? No, they don't know. Well, I'll say this. Would I have allowed it? No. But then again, you look at the situation where you're renting a couple of jet skis for an hour, and he's got a life jacket on, and you think, oh, he's just going to go out there. I don't want to go out there because I'm scared of jet skis, and this way he gets to have somebody around him when he goes jet skiing. And what can happen out there? What could possibly happen? Well, what happened was Max didn't come back. That's what happened. And the father, the older man, claimed, he gave 2 stories which were not quite the same about what happened. That there was a stall problem with the jet skis, and that at one point they supposedly tied some ropes or something, and then Max went kind of floating off toward the shore, and then another story was he just saw him floating out some other direction. I mean, it was a little bit sketchy what he said. They never found Max's body, and they never found the life jacket. And I mean, they were as soon as those the father didn't come back with the jet skis. They immediately know they'd gone over and they were looking for them. So it wasn't like tons of time had passed, and they never found him. Never know what happened. The police did interrogate and came up with nothing. Turns out later on, there's information comes in that the father had supposedly sexually assaulted the adopted son or whatever the heck he was. I'm trying to remember if he was it was an adopted son, and he had sexually assaulted him when he was 14. So you're like, okay, so you got pervert father, theoretically, likes a 14-year-old boy, and now he takes a 14-year-old boy out, and was a younger man helping his father get a hold of a 14-year-old boy. So this is, luring thing that people think, and grooming going on. And nothing came of it. There has been no resolution. And the reason there hasn't been a resolution is because it can't prove what happened. So if, let's say, he took him out there to molest him. Now Daddy had some scratches on his body, which he claimed were trying to get back onto the jet ski. Usually in the water, getting onto a jet ski, I don't think you get scratches on your body, your neck, and all that. Yeah, that's in your back, as Dr. Grande put it. It's an interesting way to get on the jet ski, So his story is suspicious, but the problem is, if he took him out there and that they were actually out in the water, what kind of sexual assault was happening in the middle of the water that was easy to accomplish on a jet ski? Kind of weird. Then, if he did do something to him and killed him, drowned him, what happened to his body, and what happened to the life preserver he was wearing? I mean, where'd it go? Because where'd it go? So did he go farther away and find a way to get rid of it? Because we're talking about off the shore of Aruba. We're not talking about on a pond or a lake. And if he drowned by accident, again, where's his body and what happened to the life preserver? So it's a very strange case, which I don't have, unless I really investigate it further, would have a solid answer to. And I don't know if the police just got to the point like, we just don't know. We don't have enough proof to say the guy did anything, because we don't have the body, we don't have the life, we just don't know. And maybe, I don't know how close any other kind of land was during that hour. Could he have gotten to the land, some point of land where he could have taken the boy off and done something to him and then got rid of his body within a short period? I mean, it's a strange case. So just go watch Dr. Grande. He describes it very carefully, but I just wanted to point out, this is why sometimes cases go unsolved. And you can say years later, mom still wants to know what happened to her son. I don't blame her, because in this particular case, it's not clear. Her son didn't commit suicide. Could it have been an accidental death? Yes, but I see why this mother would have some suspicions for a dang good reason. Could have still been an accident. The older man didn't want to admit to, I don't know, just didn't want to be blamed for something, even if he was a scumbag. Or maybe he didn't think he did enough to save the boy. I don't know. Or maybe he did something to the boy. So this mother, I totally get that she wants to know what happened to her son. Absolute every reason. But do I think they can prove anything at this point? It's a tough one. It is a very tough one. So, yeah, I don't know that they can. And while I'm bringing up that, I want to also point out, before I go to your comments, you'll remember that there's another young man who went missing died in the Bahamas. He didn't go missing. He died in the Bahamas. And this is Denari McAlmont. He actually comes from my town. Seemed like a nice man. He was a producer of stuff, and he seemed real friendly. And they were the family always they were from the West Indies, and I think they're Guyanese, and they would go on his family vacations all the time. They seemed very close, but he ended up dead on the beach. He left the family in the middle of dinner, said he was going to get a sweater or something, didn't come back, supposedly spit on some employee someplace, and then found dead on the beach of drowning. And of course, he didn't really, they said he wasn't a swimmer. So why is he, how did he drown on the beach? And so what happened was the Bahamian police said it was accidental drowning, and they've dropped it. The mother thinks there's got to be something more to the story. Somebody drowned him. Somebody did something to him. The question was the issue about drugs in the system. Now, this was back in May, and I've looked for the updates, and there's zero updates. Interestingly, zero updates from the family. And now we're at August almost. And why is that? Is it that they found out when there's supposed to be a second autopsy and toxicology? Did they find out their son had actually taken something he shouldn't have taken? Did they find that that autopsy came back that there was no sign of foul play? That he maybe was off his mind somehow and staggered into the water and lost his balance and drowned? Who knows? But are the Bahamian police covering up something? Like the family is claiming they're covering up drug dealing and so on and so forth. But you have strange behavior from the son, which it's hard to explain because we just don't know all of it. But there's some strange behavior. Then he disappears from his family. And I see the fly landing on my face. And then he ends up drowned. And the family's like, somebody did something to him. Then we get this girl. Just to bring up another one, this girl is let me find this one. She just found drowned in a river. She's a college girl, and at a seemingly, let me see if I can find it here. Where'd she go? Where'd she go? Here she is. She was found. She was a fine college student. So, we have all these college students, and they're usually males, in the drink someplace. I mean, they're drinking and then they're in the drink, so they fall into rivers, they fall into lakes, and people keep claiming that smiley face killers are out there killing all these people. This is stupid concept of a U.S.-wide serial killer ring that manages to sneak up on drunk college students and somehow, without putting a mark on their body, drowns them for no reason whatsoever. So anyway, it says this college town, a 22-year-old graduate student died after falling into the Mississippi River following a night of drinking. Has a dark history of eerie similar deaths stretching back nearly 3 decades. Eliotte Heinz vanished early Sunday while walking home from a night out in downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin. She was last captured on surveillance video walking alone at 3:22 a.m. near the Mississippi waterfront. And that's it. They searched for her for 4 days. Her body was found more than 10 miles from where she was last seen, downstream. Unclear how she ended up in the river. They're going to keep investigating, the La Crosse PD, and they're waiting autopsy results. Okay. And she was obviously a very great, she was a really nice person. You know what I mean? And she's like the daughter you'd want, who was doing so well in school and all that, but she went out drinking. And it says here, between 1997 and 2006, La Crosse was plagued by a spate of alcohol-related accidental drownings that claimed the lives of at least 8 college-age students. Now we're talking 1997 to 2006. Now here's where people have problems with. We're talking a decade. So in a decade, at least 8 college-age students. So less than 1 a year of piles of drunk students near the river. You're going to have one of them go in. By 2017, some reports replaced the number more than a dozen. Okay, whatever. For a time, speculation was rife that the deaths were being caused by a serial killer dubbed Smiley Face, but those baseless claims were refuted by law enforcement because it's retarded. Basic problem is excessive drinking, physical proximity to the river. That's it. Now, they're saying, how do you prevent these students from falling into the river? Do you have to have, better block, some kind of fences or some kind of crap, so the bars not serve them so much liquor? You can go on and on with that. Unfortunately, accidents happen. And my best example, and I've told it before, but I'll tell it again, is one of my kids' acquaintances. She wasn't a friend, but she was an acquaintance. They all knew her just from over the years. She went for a birthday celebration with her friends in Baltimore and a place called Fells Point. She was drinking with them and she left by herself and she never got back to her car. And her purse was found on the ground and her body was found in the water. And it looked like she could have been attacked. Somebody was trying to steal her purse, pushed her in the water, killed her. But there was video, and the video showed that she fell into the water on her own. So if it hadn't been for that video, those parents would be looking for the killer for the next 30 years. But thank God for the video. And it's horrible. I feel terrible for the family because it could have been any one of us could have a kid. And we could have ourselves at that age drunk too much and lost our balance and fell in. But at least, and that's a horrible ending, but at least it stops having to deal with, 3 decades of parents claiming that the police are refusing to investigate and blaming and pointing fingers at all their friends. And, every person who's ever seen in the area is accused of being a killer. That's the kind of stuff that's really sad. And so thank God, cameras are really a godsend. They are. Cauliflower says, I've been a drunk person. I know it before. No, thankfully I didn't fall down. I mean, God dang, those flies. There's like literally one fly. It's like, and it's going to harass me. And there's one in my bedroom too. I know it's the same fly, but the bedroom, it's just the same guy going back and forth, driving me crazy. So, but yeah, so you have to understand, I try to get people to understand that, know what you're dealing with a lot of times. And then you're dealing with people with mental instability. Here's a great example of that. This guy, where is he? Where is he? Hold on, I gotta find him. Here we are. This guy. So this fellow, it's all over Facebook, and everybody was trying to find out what happened to him and who did something to this poor guy. All right. That's him with his mother. I think is that with him with his mother? His mother, Nia Brown, told the Daily Mail he's not missing now. Oh, but he's keeping a low profile for his safety. Yes, here he is. Julian Brown, 21, vanished from a social media after claiming he was under attack on July 9th. Now, was he really under attack? All right. Hold on a second. Okay, he's an inventor. Inventor Julian Brown feared missing after discovering how to turn plastic into gasoline. Now the mom tells Daily Mail the real story. Yeah, sure. Okay. An inventor who vanished after saying he was under attack over a groundbreaking technology is fine, but keeping a low profile for his safety. So he's doing this. He's 21 years old. He's doing some work in the energy field. A thing called plastiline, a product he claims recycles plastic by turning it into gasoline. Okay, lives in the Atlanta area, has 1.7 million followers on Instagram. Has not been heard of since July 9th when he posted a disturbing video claiming he was under attack. Something's happening. Keep me in your prayers, please. Screen record all this. I don't know. I'm certainly under attack. I can't go into much detail. Keep your eyes open. And his mother's saying he has been not missing, but now because of security interests, she's going to provide no more information because he's got to keep in hiding. I'm going to say he might be suffering from some kind of psychosis. And when you look at how people, even parents, refuse to acknowledge that maybe the person is not mentally stable, they need some help. And they're playing into that. I mean, that's concerning. And there is another case here. Somebody asked me about this case, and so I'm going to bring it up for this. This is Fred Rogers and Edwina Rogers. And they were brutally murdered. The way they were murdered, what interests me about that is, let me find it. Hold on. Let me find them. Where'd they go? No. Okay, I've lost them. Hold on a second. Oh, they're called the Icebox Murders. Okay, the Icebox Murders. Now, so this is what happens that in this particular case with this couple, this is a fridge full of horrors couple was dismembered in Icebox Murders, and geophysicist's son was nowhere to be found. The gruesome murders of a Houston couple 60 years ago remain one of the most eerie unsolved cases. Not all that unsolved. Although police only had one suspect in their sight for decades, the murders remain a breeding ground for conspiracy theories and local legends. Well, there you go. All right, so they found the dismembered bodies in 1965 of this couple. and they've been brutally murdered with a hammer, gunshot, and then they're cut up and put in their own icebox. Investigators' attention was immediately drawn to Rogers' reclusive adult son, Charles Rogers, who vanished before police arrived at the home. So let's see. Detectives discovered the hammer that was there, plus a saw. So everything's in the house. So, clearly whoever did it lived in the house, right? And they found blood on his bed. Charles, the son, they found blood on his bedroom door, but he was never seen after his parents' deaths. Now, this is the interesting part. Charles, who worked as a geophysicist, so a brilliant guy, right? But not necessarily mentally stable. Spent a lot of time in his bedroom and often only communicated with his parents through notes slid underneath the door. This is a grown man sliding notes under the door. The son's mysterious activity included his late return home despite not having a job, led locals to theorizing about, what happened all the years going up there. Now there's conspiracy theories. He's connected to JFK, CIA activity. It's just ridiculous. But clearly Charles was probably not altogether home, except that night, what he did and his parents. So a lot of times what you have is people behaving in a way that has to do with not other people killing them, but their own internal problems, mental health conditions. That's Terron Evans. Terron Evans was not stable. He was a suicidal young man, and he was depressed, heavily depressed, and nobody killed him. And so it's but it does cause a tremendous amount of people who are online who keep pushing this stuff, that people who are murdered by the police and all this kind of stuff. What they don't realize is how much harm they're doing, because resources are not never ending. You only have so many resources, and you have to be able to spend it on helping people you can help, working on cases you can solve, finding missing people you can find, not spending a lot of time with a bunch of nonsense, doing fake investigations, or having to deal with all this garbage that just stresses you all out. So it's the harm that is being done by YouTubers who push and media that push erroneous theories is tremendous. It's tremendous. It's not okay. And so it's not one of those things. Nobody's being victimized. Yeah, the people being victimized is the entire public and the police departments, and the waste of resources. It's just not okay. So he says here, he invented a diesel fuel that can be made by plastic. That's the theory, yes. Apparently, the claim is that he wasn't the only one who ever did that, but whatever, but that the petroleum industry is going to kill him. I don't know how many times we see that some industry is going to kill somebody off because they're problem to the industry. And, for the most part, that does not happen, although, there's tons of claims that it does. And it can be just about anything that this kind of claim is like, this person is, they had to get rid of them, and yet the evidence is never there. So, if it's a rare case where it really is true, let there be evidence. But most of the time when we have these claims, the evidence is simply not there. So there's a fly crossing the scene. Yeah, yes, there is, and it's on video. So yeah. I want to bring this up because this is crazy. So going back to Luigi Mangione, there is a new film out. It's a play. And the play is very questionable. It's called the Mangione Musical. It's out started in San Francisco. And you can see here we have the Exit Theater. And this fruitcake woman, she's a theater girl, but she says that we support Luigi Mangione and we want to honor him. I want to get out of here. That's disgusting. So the question is, giving attention to this guy, because a lot of people hate the healthcare system and the insurance system and think that he basically killed somebody who was part of this cartel, this insurance cartel, which I'm not in disagreement with, but you don't kill people anyway. And that I don't think Mangione his real issue was ever that. I think his real issue was he wanted to be famous, because he still to this day, that claim he had all these back problems there's no proof of who the surgeon was who did the back surgery or didn't do the back surgery. There's no proof that he was actually having that much pain, and his parents were rich. So all that's a bunch of bull. He's like, to me, his behaviors are strange. He probably is psychopathic. And he decided to go kill somebody to be famous. So he did that. And, but people feel sorry for him. So, but now there is something, I'm going to link it just because I actually found it very funny, and quite amusing. So there's this video. I was looking up to look for a trailer of this program, but this is called Anti-Villain or something like that. This guy's just got 6,000 viewers. Act 2, the Luigi the Musical. Now, it's done as a musical, and there's some cops dancing, and then they're bringing in Luigi, and we have to blur his face even though he's handsome. And yeah, they're holding up this, he's like a saint here. There's another picture. Oh no, that's where it's opening. Anyway, so I will link it because it's funny. Supposedly it's all AI. And it is not actually the actual musical that's on the stage. It's totally supposedly AI. And if that's AI, and they put that together, I don't even know how they did it, but it's great. And I mean, it's great in a way that made me laugh because they were pointing out all the different issues going on, people who were making him a saint, people who thought he was good looking. And so it's actually humorous. Now, I don't know if the musical, Luigi the Musical, I don't know how I feel about that in the sense that, he is getting his name out there, but what are they trying to do? They're looking at all the different issues and talking about, real issues in the world as opposed to this psychopathic murderer, or are they actually praising him and supporting him? So I have no idea what I feel about that. I think it's I don't really like things being done where it's an entire musical, like Ted Bundy, the musical. I don't think we need that. I don't. Columbine, the musical, that makes me want to throw up. But I have to admit that little clip on YouTube is freaking funny. So, sometimes you just kind of enjoyed that. So I don't really know what I think of that. So, because I don't know what the quote musical is. Oh, hold on a second. We have a problem here. Oh no, hold on. What the heck is going on? Okay. I'm having a technical problem and I don't know how to fix it. Oh, that came back. Sometimes the screen suddenly changed dimensions, and I was trying to get back to your comments, and I couldn't even see the row that has the comments in it. I'm not sure why this has gone goofy on me, but well, yeah, he will. His ego is going to be inflated. Has already been inflated by all these people who think he's a hero, and it's pretty sad. So, it's a frustrating thing. So the problem again, we run into this gray line where it's like I don't consider myself a true crime channel. I consider myself an educational channel for a crime analysis and profiling. And then over here you got true crime. Now, is there sometimes a blur? Well, sure. And sometimes I have found certain, quote, true crime channels not so bad. That maybe they do tell a story, but in a way that is not offensive and gives facts and is more historical than it is, oh, look at the gruesome details. And I'm sitting on my bedroom floor telling you this story, and I just made $15,000, and I found a girl that's doing that right now. She sits on her bedroom floor. You can see the sheets on her bed, and she's on her floor, and she's getting like 800,000 views on a 15-minute video, which is just her basically looking at Wikipedia or borrowing something from somebody and telling a quick story. But make sure it's like really scary and gross, I don't like that stuff. I think it's unethical. But there's like gray areas. So there's like, can you write a book about something? Can you do a show about something? Can we do a documentary? Can we do something that is not just constantly have people looking for cases which they clearly don't care about the families or the victims. Because people keep saying this crap, drive me nuts. There was another YouTuber, and she has a big channel, and she's like, oh, our true crime community is full of wonderful people, and we YouTubers care about the victims. You put on sad face. Oh, sad face. I care. No, you get out of here. You're making a fortune. You're really not concerned. You're not helping victims. You're not solving crimes. Oh, we want to get this information out. So maybe somebody who knows something. Get out of here. It's not what you're doing it for. So, but do we not want any of it? Do we say you can't do a documentary, have a book, do a YouTube? You don't want to do that. But on the other hand, do we need as much true crime crap out there that there is? The massive amount of channels and the Oxygen Channel, Paramount, Peacock, Netflix, with nothing but crime show after crime show after crime show, crime documentary. Are we ghouls? Are we ghouls because you just want to hear about other people's suffering and ooh and ah over it and say, oh my God, oh, what did he do to her? Oh my God, he's was a horrible, the guy's so creepy. What's wrong with us? As a society, we have so much of that. And somebody asked me, well, don't I have an interest in that? I keep saying, I'm interested in the puzzle, always have been. So even when I was, 11 years old and got interested in Sherlock Holmes, it was never about the criminal. It was about how the crime was solved. Death in Paradise, same thing. I like even though it's ridiculous, the crimes would never happen that way in real life. The majority of the show is about trying to figure out who did it and looking at all the evidence in the puzzle. And that's what I've always been interested in. So no, I've never been interested in the ghoulish side of it. I don't have any interest in hearing all the gory details. Now, as a profiler, if I'm working on a case, do I see all the gory details? Yes, I do see the crime scene photos and all of that. I do, because I need to. But it's not because I'm going, oh my God, look what happened. Yeah, that really bothers me. So, yeah. Now I'm trying to figure out where, now that my whole screen is screwed up, what the heck? I'm trying to figure out how to fix it now so I can see the area I need to see. Something happened in the size of this. Let's see. I don't even know how to fix it. Well, that's interesting. Zoom. Maybe my Zoom went crazy. Let's see if I unzoom it. Okay, I'm going down. That didn't do anything either. Oh, great. That didn't work. So now I'm going to have to guess where I need to click. So hold on, guys. Yeah, not there. Oh, not there. How about here? Nope. How about here? Oh, here we go. I'm having to guess. I just have to pick an area of the screen to try to click on, so I can try to pick out the case. All right. I was asked by Molly if this was a wilding. So this young man. Where's the young man? Here he is. Jack Woodley was 18 years old and was murdered by 10 young killers made up of 14 to 17-year-olds. And here's some of the little horrible creatures. And that's the knife they used. And then they also kicked and stomped on him and did all kinds of other horrifying things to him. Yes, that is an example of a wilding. And this is important to know because I've said the West Memphis 3 was a wilding and not necessarily a sexual homicide or a stepdaddy wanted to kill one of his stepkid and took the other two with him and that kind of nonsense, or even a serial killer. It looked like a wilding to me. So let me see if I can find the story about the. Okay, where are we, wilding? Hold on. Wilding. Where'd you go? Oh, here we go. So this poor guy, he's like, gang of boys stabbed an 18-year-old to death with a Rambo knife, like zombies attacking an animal. So they restricted some of their faces because they're under 18. They can be murderers, but let's not show their faces. All right. So this kid went to a fun fair and they chased him down an alleyway. They punched, kicked, stamped on him, fatally stabbed him with a 25-centimeter blade, quote, solely for the excitement and pleasure of inflicting serious injury on an entirely innocent, randomly selected individual. They made a ring around it so nobody could help him. His friends, it was with some friends, but he couldn't. It was recorded because people were trying to get in, but they couldn't get past the ring to save him. And he died. He was taken to the hospital and died the next day. They are now convicted of murdering him. They were all handed life sentences with minimum terms of between 8 and 17 years. Yeah, that's a wild thing. So in other words, there was no reason to attack that person except for the thrill of attacking them in a group. So same thing with West Memphis 3. I think those 3 teenage boys led by their leader, Damien, because he was the leader, came into they saw the little boys go into the woods, and he's like, let's go. And they went after the little boys to have the cheap thrill, killing the little boys. Is there a good reason? No, it's a wilding. It's doing something horrific, just slaughtering. And people don't understand that because it makes no sense. But that's the whole point. It's like there's something severely wrong in the minds of certain young people that it thrills them to do that. That they were able to do this horrific thing. Ha, ha, ha. You see that with gang rape as well. And, you can say, oh, I don't know. Why do people do that? Well, I don't exactly know, but I'm going to say probably their home lives aren't the best. The society around them isn't the best. And when people say, well, isn't it important to know how people become the way they become? Well, yes, in the sense that if we don't look at our own society and say, maybe we got to fix some things. Maybe we need families who stay together. Maybe we need marriage to be marriage. Maybe those churches that used to be in neighborhoods that the families used to go to helped out, keep the neighborhood stable. Maybe because there were places where young people could go, where there were people who theoretically were trying to do more moral and ethical things. And don't get into the fact that there's a few, like, oh, well, that's a Catholic church, whatever. At least it gave more stability to the neighborhood. Schools that didn't allow children to be animals in schools, when drugs are not permitted to be flowing all through the neighborhood, when porn isn't everywhere. When we allow all these things to happen, unfortunately, kids grow up kind of screwed up. They do. They're screwed up. What can you say? So, yes, we do need to do something about this kind of kids turning into animals. So I think the wilding thing is a good point. So I'll see if I can find any of your comments. Oh, not there. Not there. I'm literally just clicking on the side because I can't see things. What the heck? Oh, that's interesting. That's Jesus, what the heck happened here? Can anybody see me or hear me? Because this has really gotten weird. I can't see anything now. I don't even know if I'm still on. This is very, very strange. So everything has gone crazy and I can't see anything. And I don't even know if I'm in the studio, which looks like I'm still in the studio, but I'm not even sure. So honestly, I don't know what happened here. So something went wrong, and I don't know how to find out. So it still says to me I'm live, so I think I'm still here, but I cannot see any of your comments. So I'm going to just close up because I can't see anything. The whole studio just sort of shut down. So if I'm there, I'm there, but I don't know. So whatever I didn't get to this week, I'll take it on to next week because I can't see anything. So, and I don't know I have no idea how to fix it. So thank you for being here. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how even to shut the this is crazy. What did they do to me? I can't figure it out. So anyway, if you're here, bye-bye. Just go ahead and leave because I can't. I'm going to spend my time trying to figure out how to even stop the video from playing because I can't see that either. So I don't know. So bye, everybody. Oh, I see people again. Okay, everybody. Okay, I see you guys here now. I got your comments back. So so you're still here, but I cannot see anything. It's just the whole. They have changed the setup actually, and so this is completely screwed up. I don't know how to stop the program here. Maybe this will work. No, that's not it either. This is ridiculous. Okay. Oh, here. Oh, I found an outro. Maybe I can go bye-bye now. Bye. I'm trying to say goodbye. Still can't figure out what's wrong. So I'm going to try to just disappear. Bye.